Hello dear friends, welcome back again to another video from my YouTube channel. Dear friends, in our previous video, we discussed about the fertilization event. In this video, we'll discuss the post-fertilization event. That means after fertilization, what are the events takes place in case of human beings. The very important event after fertilization is implantation. We'll define the implantation by the end of this video. First, we'll try to understand the entire process of implantation. To understand the implantation, we need to have the basic knowledge of fertilization, my dear friends. What is fertilization? Fertilization means the process of fusion of sperm and ovum. When the sperm fuses with the ovum, that process is called as fertilization. Let us recall the thing. On the 14th day of menstrual cycle, ovary releases the secondary oocyte by a process called as ovulation. That secondary oocyte, it is collected by a finger-like structures. They are called as fimbriae. Then the secondary oocyte is transported to the funnel-like structure. It is called as infundibulum. From the infundibulum, the secondary oocyte get transferred to the ampulla region by a ciliary movement. Here we have a small hair-like structure, cilia. They transport the secondary oocyte to the ampulla region. Here, the secondary oocyte, it is resting, it is waiting for the entry of the sperm. During coitus or during sexual intercourse, the male person releases millions of sperms into the vagina, and these sperms, they are traveling through the cervical canal, and ultimately few sperms, approximately 200 sperms, they come near to the secondary oocyte, and finally one sperm got successful to enter into the secondary oocyte. One sperm is succeeded to rupture the corona radiata, zona pellucida, and ultimately the sperm releases the nucleus inside the secondary oocyte. Then the nucleus of sperm, nucleus of secondary oocyte, nucleus of ovum, they fuse together to form the zygote. That is called as fertilization. We'll understand the fertilization separately here, but the process is taking place inside the fallopian tube, particularly at the ampulla region. For example, this is the zona pellucida. This is the zona pellucida of the secondary oocyte. And this zona pellucida, it has got a radiating cells outside. These radiating cells, they are called as corona radiata. This is corona radiata, and this is the zona pellucida. Inside this, there is a cell, haploid cell with a haploid nucleus. There is a cell with a haploid nucleus. It is called as, this cell is called as secondary oocyte cell. This structure is waiting for the entry of the sperm in the ampulla region. Now the sperm comes and it secretes the sperm lysine enzymes, hyaluronidase, neuraminidase, acrosin. They are all present in the acrosome of the sperm. This is the head part of the nucleus. This is the head part of the sperm, which has got a nucleus here. It is also a haploid nucleus. This is also a haploid nucleus. By breaking the walls, this sperm releases the nucleus. Finally, the nucleus of sperm fuses with the nucleus of secondary oocyte. As a result of that, there is a diploid nucleus is formed. Diploid nucleus is formed. Human cells, they consist of human body cells, somatic cells, they consist of 46 chromosomes. But the human sperm consists of 23 chromosomes and the female ovum or egg consists of 23 chromosomes. That means there is a fusion of 23 plus 23. Totally 46 chromosomes are there in this structure now. Immediately after fertilization, this corona radiata cells, they disappear. They get dissolved. They get destroyed after fertilization. Now, the zona pellucida is there. This cell is no more called as secondary oocyte now. It is no more called as secondary oocyte because now it has become a diploid cell. Hence, it is called as zygote. It is called as zygote. How is the zygote? Zygote is a diploid cell which consists of 46 number of chromosomes in it. 23 from sperm, that means 23 is from male and 23 is from female. There is a fusion of male and the female chromosomes during fertilization. Here this is after fertilization. Let us draw here. After fertilization, what is going to happen? Zygote formation takes place. This is the zona pellucida. Inside this zona pellucida, there is a diploid cell. There is a 2n cell here. This cell is called as zygote, my dear friends. This is the first structure which is formed after fertilization. What is the first structure formed after fertilization? Zygote is the first structure. This zygote, it undergoes mitosis. How many chromosomes are present in the zygote? 46 chromosomes are present in the zygote. This cell undergoes mitosis. Let us draw the zona pellucida first. Zona pellucida is still there, but the corona radiata, it is dissolved after fertilization. This cell undergoes mitosis. As a result of that, two cells are formed. These two cells are the daughter cells of this zygote and they divide by mitosis. That means each daughter cell consists of equal number of chromosomes as that of the parental cell because mitosis is an equational division. Now these two cells, they undergo one more mitotic division and they results into the formation of four cells. Surrounded by a zona pellucida. The cells which are formed, they are called as blastomeres. They are called as blastomeres. This is one blastomere cell. This is second. Totally 4 blastomere cells are there in this structure. Now, this is undergoing repeated mitotic division. Again it divide by mitosis. Then ultimately we'll have 8 to 16 cells are formed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 16 cells are formed. This structure which consists of 8 to 16 blastomeres. 8 to 16 blastomeres, it has given with a particular name, that is Morula. It is called as morula. Morula. What is morula? The structure which consists of 8 to 16 blastomeres. It is called as morula. This morula, it undergo again the mitotic divisions. Again the mitotic divisions. Again mitotic divisions. Now, hundreds of cells are formed. Hundreds of cells. What are these cells? They are the blastomere cells. Hundreds of cells are formed surrounded by the zona pellucida. That means the zona pellucida is still there. Zona pellucida is still there. They are all blastomeres. They are all blastomeres, my dear friends. Hundreds of blastomeres. Let us study the same thing here. From zygote, what is formed? Morula is formed. From zygote, morula is formed. Let us draw morula here. This is the zona pellucida. Inside this zona pellucida, many cells are there. How many cells are there in the morula stage? 8 to 16 blastomere cells are there. 8 to 16. On the 4th day after fertilization, this structure enters into the uterus. This entire thing is the uterus. It is a inverted pear shape, inverted conical shape. This entire space, it is called as uterus. The same structure, morula structure get entered into the uterus now. It get entered into the uterus. When it get entered into the uterus from the fallopian tube, on the 4th day after fertilization ಆದ 4ನೇ ದಿನದಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ಸೆಲ್ಲು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಈ ಮೊರುಲಾ ಯುಟರಸ್ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಬಂದ್ಬಿಡ್ತದೆ. Now as this morula enters into the uterus, suddenly inside the uterus there are 3 different walls. The inner wall is called as endometrium, middle wall is called as myometrium, outermost wall is called as perimetrium. This inner wall endometrium, it starts secreting the glycogen. Who secretes this glycogen? From here also the glycogen is secreted. From all the sides of this endometrium, glycogen is secreted. Why this glycogen is secreted? This glycogen is secreted to nourish the blastomere cells. Now this is all glycogen. After this, after consuming the glycogen, after getting the nourishment from the endometrial wall, these cells on the 5th day, they start arranging themselves. These cells, they start arranging themselves. That means here we have to study first. On the 5th day, blastomere arrangement takes place. How these cells are arranged? This is the zona pellucida. Zona pellucida is still there. Some of the blastomere cells, they are arranged towards the border. They arrange towards the border here. Whereas some of the cells, they form a knob-like structure. they form a knob-like structure. They are also blastomeres. But they are arranged, some of the cells they get arranged outside. These cells which are arranged outside, they are called as trophoblasts. Whereas the cells which are arranged in a knob-like structure, these cells are called as inner cell mass. And there is a cavity here. This cavity, it is called as blastocele. Inside this blastocele, the glycogen which is secreted by the endometrial wall is stored. Here there is a glycogen. Glycogen is stored. This is glycogen. Glycogen is stored. Now, this entire structure, it is called as blastula. Or blastocyst. The cells, the structure with 8 to 16 blastomeres, it is called as morula, whereas the structure which consists of tropoplast, blastocele and inner mass of cell, it is called as blastula. From zygote to the morula, from morula to the blastula is formed. This is the zona pellucida. Some of the cells, they are arranged towards the border here. And some of the cells, they form a knob-like structure here. This is the blastocyst. This is the blastocyst or blastula structure. This blastula consisting of outer tropoplast and a knob-like inner cells, they are called as inner cell mass, and it is also called as embryoblasts. Inner cell mass, it is also called as embryoblast. After the formation of this structure is formed on the 5th day after fertilization. When the blastula is formed? 5th day. When the morula enters into the uterus? On the 4th day. Remember, these 2 days are very, very important. Now, these tropoplasts, outer cells, they secrete an enzyme. Called as lysine. They secrete lysine. Lysine's main job is to dissolve the zona pellucida. Zona pellucida get dissolved. Let us draw this structure here, but we'll dissolve the zona pellucida in our main diagram. Here, the outer tropoplast is there. They are the outer tropoplasts. And we'll have the inner cell mass here. This is the inner cell mass. But there is no zona pellucida. Why there is no zona pellucida? Because the tropoplast cells, they secrete the lysine enzyme that breaks the zona pellucida, and ultimately this structure, it is still called as blastocyst. And this blastocyst, it goes and embedded. It enters into the endometrial wall. It breaks the endometrial wall and it gets embedded inside inside the endometrial wall. It get embedded inside the endometrial wall. Here we have the inner mass of cell. Inner mass of cell. This cavity is called as blastocele cavity. Ultimately, what has happened is zona pellucida get dissolved by the lysine secreted by the trophoplast, and this blastocyst get fixed or get embedded. अंदर ಒಳಗಡೆ ಹೋಗಿ ಫಿಕ್ಸ್ ಆಗಿಬಿಡ್ತದೆ. अंदर जाके धस जाता उन्हें. कहाँ पे धस रहा? एंडोमेट्रियल वॉल के अंदर धस रहा. एंडोमेट्रियल वॉल के अंदर embedded हो रहा. What is getting embedded inside the endometrial wall? Blastocyst is getting embedded inside the endometrial wall. This process is called as implantation. This process is called as implantation. Then how we can define the implantation? The process of embedding. The process of embedding blastocyst into the myometrium, no? Into the myometrium. No, my dear friends, into the endometrium. Into the endometrium of uterus. Endometrium of uterus. This is called as implantation, my dear friends. Implantation. And this implantation takes place after the 7th day of fertilization. Remember these 3 very important days. Implantation takes place on the 7th day after fertilization. Morula enters into the uterus on the 4th day after the fertilization. When is this blastula is formed? On the 5th day of the after fertilization. This is the process of implantation. I hope you people have got an idea about the implantation process. Implant आगोदु अंतंद्रे इल्ली बंदु नेले निल्लोदु. यहाँ पे आके धसना. इसको हम क्या बोल रहे हैं? इम्प्लांटेशन. क्या धस रहा यहाँ पे? क्या धस रहा? ब्लास्टोसिस धस रहा. कहाँ आके धस रहा उन्हें? एंडोमेट्रियल वॉल में आके धस रहा. एंडोमेट्रियल वॉल कहाँ पे है? यूटरस में है. यूटरस के एंडोमेट्रियल वॉल के अंदर आके ब्लास्टोसिस का एम्बेडेड होना, इसको हम क्या बोल रहे हैं? इम्प्लांटेशन बोल रहे हैं. दैट टेक्स प्लेस ऑन द 7th डे आफ्टर fertilization. There was a question asked in the 2017 AIPMT. Take down the question, or you can answer this question in the comment box given below in my YouTube video. Which layer of the uterus secretes the glycogen after fertilization? Which layer of the uterus secretes the glycogen after fertilization? Option A, perimetrium. Option B, myometrium. Option C, endometrium. Option D, all the above. This question was asked in the AIPMT question paper. I hope you people are very much clear with the implantation process. Thank you so much, my dear friends.